Hello and welcome back to the channel. Firstly, I must apologise for not having posted a video in quite so long. A mixture of pandemic, weather, and the fact that I got coronavirus in November has meant that there's definitely been a lack of video making recently. However, we are back. And we're going to have a look at this bike, the Triumph Speedmaster, after a year of having the bike. It's time we had a sort of a year-long review. So you'd normally have a service after a year. You have your first one after 500 miles, and then your second after a year. And so that is what we're about to go and have done, or quite soon have done. But first, we're going to have a little stop, a little look around the bike, and then get out on some roads before it gets dark to see how it performs in different scenarios. Before we do that, please subscribe by either, nice Aston, pressing the button bottom right of your screen down there, which is the sort of the FozBox icon bottom right of the screen, or indeed by picking up your phone and pressing the red subscribe button. Okay, we've stopped up on the top of a hill. The moon is out, the sun is gone, so we'll have to get this done fairly quickly. But here you have it, the Triumph Speedmaster, or Bonneville Speedmaster, the 2018 Plus edition with the high torque engine, 1200. Down here, 1200 high torque engine. Now, this bike features the same engine as you would find in the Bobber and Bobber Black, but it has the same dual disc brakes on the front as the Bobber Black. The Bobber has a single disc, which is probably a little under braked, to be quite frank. 2 is definitely required for a bike of this weight, which is about 250 kilograms there or thereabouts. Shove on top a 80 kilogram rider, and you need a quarter of a ton plus stopping power. You need duals at the front, single disc at the back, which is fine actually, and the slow riding in towns is good, and we'll look at one of the modes for doing that better as we take to the roads and go into town. I have had issues with this bike, I'm not going to lie. First one was the handlebars slipped down. So in one of my earlier reviews, I talked about how you couldn't sit on it and have the bars hitting your knees all the time. That's because these up here had not been tightened properly and the bars had slipped down. So do keep an eye on that. I noticed, because actually the handlebars started hitting the tank. So you can see already there's been a difference there from raising them back up again. You can get handlebar raisers and go more chopper style up here, but the beach bars are really comfortable. The only downside to the seating position probably is that the wing mirrors here, they're not the greatest. The teardrop ones are slightly better because they give you a wider sort of blindside angle on what's coming up behind you, but they're good, they work. They do look a little bit sort of alien antennae, but you can't have everything. Digital dash is excellent, and this I button here flicks you through all your different modes, whether it be let's start at the beginning. Time, there you go. 350, yeah, it's actually right, amazing. It's winter, it's dark. The revs that you're currently using, it is high torque down the bottom end. You have it all the way from the bottom. The revs come right from the bottom. It doesn't rev too far, and you're probably cruising along at, I don't know, maybe 2000 RPM. Then we move to your odometer, so how far you've been, so 2900 as discussed. MPG, that's your running MPG, so your real-time MPG, and then you get your long-term MPG, so I'm doing almost 60 miles per gallon. 60 miles per gallon on a 1200 high torque engine. That's insane. That's amazing. compare that to a Harley Davidson or something, you're nowhere near. You're nowhere near. So the parallel twin, which is what this is, rather than the classic V twin, makes an enormous difference in terms of frugality of fuel, your economy, in other words. Running light always on in the classic, the new Triumph configuration, so that's what it looks like. Using the trigger under your handlebars on the left hand side, you can flash if it's just running. If you have turned it into full beam like that, then when you press the trigger it holds in full beam, and then you have to click it again to change that. The running one's really good. As I've mentioned in a previous review, the light is very much in the top half, so you may have to get your tools out and angle the light down slightly in order for it to light up more of the road and less of the trees. That's really simple. It's purely that there, and you undo that and you can angle the light and do it back up again. The only thing, of course, hold it in position when you do it back up, because otherwise when you screw it, the light will move and it won't be in the position you've set it at. Tip, do it in front of a wall or do it down a road like this in the dark, so that you can see exactly what's being lit up rather than trying to guess during the day. Twin pipes both sides, and this really nice kind of, I've always got it dusted chrome or whatever, but it's this sort of aluminium look. You can get a back seat, and I do have a back seat. There's a video called the best attachments or whatever, which is on my channel, shows you that. I prefer it in this bobber style. I think it really suits the bike. So your seats, 3 types. You can get your standard black, nice and cushy, actually really good. The brown quilted number, it's probably actually less comfortable than even the standard one, but it looks good. And then there's the long range touring one, which has a much more padding and it's built up. It does push you much further forward though, so if you've got long legs, be aware that if you're pushed forward, your legs will end up here, and that may be something to take into account. This is a great bike for smaller riders. I mean, that's me standing over the bike, so much clearance. I mean, I am 6'3", but you know, if you were 5'5", you'd still be absolutely fine, because it's so low. You can get brown handles. These are actually just me putting on like tennis racket stuff to add a little bit more squidge. I wouldn't recommend it actually, because you slide around more because they're not rubberized, but you can get the brown rubberized ones, which I will do in the new year. Horn I've replaced because the original one is really tinny and rubbish, so I've given it a bit of a, what are they called, sound bombs, I think, so something with a bit more kick to it. The other problem I've had with it is that this bolt here came completely out and my brake lever fell off as I was riding along, and there's a video on that as well. I just happened to be filming at the time. It's called Triumph Speedmaster Falls Apart or something, so that's an original title. So yeah, do keep like checking bits. I'm surprised actually at, you know, the quality product that Triumph usually put out, that I have had already 2 things. One, the handlebar slipping, this coming out. It would just suggest that maybe the person that did put my bike together, and I know it went around a few showrooms in the early part of its life, perhaps wasn't quite as careful as they could have been in putting it all together. These are additions for the saddlebags, and the saddlebags are great if a little small. Tank size is 12 litres. It will probably need refilling after you've used 10 litres. It will actually run when it says 0 for a few miles. I wouldn't test it that far. I have tested it running it at 0, on the mileometer, on the fuel gauge thing, and it says I've got no miles, it will actually do a few miles of emergency fuel once you get to 0. So don't completely panic, but I really wouldn't I really wouldn't test it too much. Okay, let's go and take it for a drive and see what it's all about. It's a great noise, I have to say. Really good noise. First gear hits about 50 and then you have to change up. So it judders at 50 in first gear. So that's your change point. And then, 60 is done in with, I don't know, 4.5 seconds at a guess, maybe less. 6 gears going forwards, obviously no gears going backwards, and the gearbox is beautiful. There are rumours of problems with some of the gearboxes, so it's definitely worth asking your dealer about it, because some of the VIN numbers have been said to have got a dodgy gearbox, so worth checking that out before you buy, or if you've got one, then check it out anyway. It's one of the things I'll be doing at my service coming up. So this is 60 miles an hour, 5th gear. Let's go to 6th gear, and I'm not being blown off the back at all. It's fine, it really is. I do have a screen, so if I was going to do a long trip, I would put the screen on, because once you hit 70 you really do feel the wind, especially taller riders, you will feel it. But anything up to 60 is easy peasy, to be quite frank. In terms of economy, we currently 30 miles an hour, 3rd gear, we're doing 99 miles per gallon, 95 miles per gallon. This bike is amazing, and it does need good mileage because the tank's so small, which is unfortunate. One of the other great parts of this bike is the fact it is a cruiser and it has cruise control. This button down here, that's your cruise control. You have to press it to engage it and then press it again to agree that you want it on. So, oh, we're still in 30, whoopsie. So a perfect example of why you might want cruise control. It is highly maneuverable, this bike. For such a big bike, it is very maneuverable. And 2nd gear it will be your favourite. If you own one of these bikes, you know what I'm talking about. This has standard pipes on, completely standard pipes. I haven't done the X pipe at the front or anything. It is totally standard, and it makes a glorious rumbly noise. But your 2nd gear is absolutely gorgeous. It does sort of pop and crackle on the way back down after a bit of a rev. I cannot tell you how pleasing the 2nd gear is. So let's so pressing that button once engages cruise control. Okay, and you can see that the green light there comes up to show that you are in it. It doesn't work at anything under, I think, about 35 miles an hour. The other things on the instrument panel, then we've got obviously you've got your fuel economy on the left there, not your fuel economy but your fuel gauge on the left there, and you have at the bottom that little wording there which you won't be able to read, even I might be able to read it now, which says road on currently. That is this button here with my right thumb, this M button, the mode button, and you can switch it between road and rain. It has rained a lot recently, so I think we can all appreciate how useful that might be. The rain mode takes out some of the low torque. It also takes out some of the noise, interestingly. It's probably not deliberately done like that, but it does. So if I, to change it, you press the button, road and rain flashes on the screen, and then you press in the clutch and it will select it, okay, just like that. So it's now gone to rain mode. Rain mode is great for in the wet, and I have been very wet on this bike. I got caught in a thunderstorm at the end of the summer. But where it's really good, the rain mode, is in town. So that's why we've come into town for a moment, just to show you why the rain mode is so good, because it takes out the bite from the acceleration, and your slow riding, your clutch control and things are just easier when you've got it in rain mode. Now you'll notice everyone has got their full lights on, so we're going to do that as well. So I'm going to switch now to full beam, and you'll notice, well, not full beam, so I haven't, you know, not full, but it's dipped headlights for those of you who have cars, dipped headlights. And you can see in the car in front of me, that's normal day running, that's dipped, and the light goes off on the screen. It's a feature that annoys me, but somebody commented and posted once that actually it was good at night time because then you didn't have a glaring green light at you. Yeah, I mean, I understand that as an idea, as a concept, but then cruise control puts on a glaring green light if you're going to use it at night, so why not have it the other way around? Anyhow, that's beside the point. Let's go into first gear here. So we're in first gear, but because we're in rain mode, it just takes the bite out. It's easier, it's smoother at low speeds, so entirely worth it if you're going around town. You can get a variety of colours. Black obviously is probably the most popular. Then you've got the black and white with the coach lines, the hand painted coach lines down the tank. Very smart indeed, but an extra in terms of cost. And then there's a red and a blue option depending on the year that you buy. So there's red, there's blue, there's black, and there is the black and white coach line effect. So all that was with no clutch going around the corner there, no rear brake either actually. Let's go right here because I don't really know where to go, so we'll go right. All this still just on the throttle, no rear brake, no clutch. This just shows you how good that rain mode is at damping down the throttle. Don't rev bomb next to the police, probably a good idea. The turning circle on here is not bad. What isn't the greatest is the clearance. So if you are coming from sports bikes, that's going to be interesting. So if you are coming from sports bikes or the like, then you will find that you can't lean over as much. The angle for leaning over it is definitely reduced in terms of cornering and stuff. Lots of people have said that they've scraped. I've scraped once in a year, and that was my own fault. So yeah, I mean it's your riding style rather than the bike being too low. Apart from that, apart from the handlebar slipping, and apart from the brake lights, the brake pedal arm falling off, you're in the wrong lane. Come on then. It's very tempting to just rev it all the time, but you know, you can hear that sort of just that deep burble going on just in the background anyway. I mean, it's lovely. I talked about how the front has the dual brakes at the top, at the front rather, has the dual discs, and it, you know, that's all front brake. It stops perfectly well. The back brake is purely that. It's not gonna stop you in much of a short distance, but it's good for control, which is really what it's all about for the rear brake. Well, I'll do a stop up here just using the rear brake and we'll see. Comfort of the seat, all the seats are pretty good. You're still gonna, because you're sitting in an upright comfortable seating position, you are going to feel it after an hour and a half. I mean, there's just no getting away from it. However, the main seat is a lot better than the back seat. The back seat is not great. Well, width-wise, it's thin in terms of sponge. So, yeah, don't think you're going to do long tours with a pillion on your back, because they'll feel it. I can hear police. Oh, hope they're not after me. They are coming this way. Very quick onto it if they know it's from me. Oh, this is all on the back brake. There you go. That stop is all on the back brake. Dual shocks at the front, obviously. Single under my bottom, so single shock at the back, and it's good enough. People on the various sort of Facebook groups and forums and things, it is one of the things that they've changed and decided that they're going to upgrade or you know, put in a different sports shock or whatever it might be. It's fine. It's really not bad. I've ground out once on the back shock, and that was with a pillion on the back. So, and you can adjust it as well. It's not static. It's an adjustable shock. Oh, hello, first gear and second gear. Raw. One thing about night riding, or riding in the dark, I mean, it's not exactly night time, it's only about 4 o'clock, but you'll notice on the dial here that the numbers 50, that isn't lit up. It's 45 and 55 that has a lit icon. So the actual 10-mile-an-hour barrier isn't lit, which is pretty weird, I have to say. It's in a kind of silver metallic strip, so it's fine in the daytime, but at night, when there is no other light, you can see the numbers, they're lit up, but it only highlights with a light the 5-mile-an-hour increments, or the 5 miles in between, rather, which is weird. So we should probably disengage rain and put it back into road. So you'll notice on the screen here, it's about to go to flashing rain road, rain road. There's the selection with the clutch, and now we're good to go again in road. Back up to 60, which is there already. That was in third. You just, you know, it's instant acceleration with this high torque engine. And in terms of economy, we're now doing 70 miles per gallon, 74 miles per gallon, 78, 83. I mean, it's ridiculous, this bike. So we're doing 55 miles an hour, 6th gear, 74 miles per gallon. I mean, wow. I mean, that's quite a nerdy wow, because I do appreciate not everyone is that excited by miles per gallon. It's so smooth. The thick tyres, and I know you could have a more chopper setup with high bars here, thin tyre at the front, thicker tyre at the back, you know, the whole shebang, but glad I'm not buying that, the whole shebang. But really, the thicker tyres make it so much more controllable. Thin, as you'll know, having a thin front tyre actually makes you less stable. So thicker front tyre gives you a lot of comfort because of the bounce in the thick tyre, but also a lot of control. Not quite sure how visible things will now be on the GoPro. I hope you can still see something. I have put it on low light setting, so we'll see if that makes any difference whatsoever. But you'll be able to see how the headlight is in front, and you actually get the T Triumph shape lighting up in front of you, which is quite fun. A bit of novelty value. How often do you get a nighttime review? There you go. Oh, a treat. It's an absolute treat for you. So this is first gear. Tops out there at about 50, 52. Second gear, I mean, just goes on forever, but you know, 60 is the speed limit here, so it's better stop at 60. And then up through the gears. I mean, it's really, really very beautiful. And on that, as the moon shines stronger and you probably can't see a thing, we better end. So thank you very much for watching this rather belated 1-year review. Do please subscribe if you haven't. Your lights have not been put down, you absolute mare in a Mercedes. So irritating. But thanks for watching, and do subscribe, and make me smile. Let's get up to that. Let's get up to that milestone of 1,000 subscribers.